This contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, from Nelsonville, Ohio, he weighs 252 pounds, Mr. Super Indy, Jock Sampson.
The Appalachian outlaw Jock Sampson has had some very unkind things to say about his opponent here tonight. He has referred to his opponent as a geek, a nerd, Harry Potter, and he's basically threatened to bully his opponent, who happens to be Jimmy Nuts, by the way, bully him in the same way that he bullied people in high school. He's going to take the lunch money and shove them in a locker. And the master of the cowbell, Mr. Super Indy, whatever you want to call him, Jock Sampson, has been in an even surlier mood than usual all evening, knowing he'll have to fight Jimmy Nuts.
Jock Sampson also not to be confused with Justin Bieber.
That was the best part of that song, and you, Mr. Planet Fitness, turn it off. I come to Cleveland. I've been getting drunk in this town for a long time. I see a bar back here. I get excited. Jody, you promised me liquor and women, and I see neither. I see nothing. So I'm going to be really kicked off. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be angry. And I'm going to kick the hell out of Harry Potter. And maybe if I kick him hard enough, the Sorcerer's Stone might fall out as you know what. I'm going to kick him. Ron is going to wish he was dead. So bring Harry Potter out because he's going to fight Jock Sampson like a man tonight. A sober Jock Sampson. Bring him out.
Man, Jock's in a mood.
And his opponent from Morgantown, West Virginia. He weighs 220 pounds. He is America's next great success story, Jimmy Nuts.
It's with Jimmy Nuts, as soon as he's through the curtain, Jock Sampson waiting for him, and this fight has begun, and this shows you how personal that it's gotten between these two. In just a couple of different interviews over YouTube, Jimmy Nuts has said he's been bullied all his life, and he's not going to let Jock Sampson do it to him here tonight. He's going to fight. He's going to stand up for himself. He's going to do what he's been doing his entire wrestling career, and that's proving people wrong.
Well, I don't see how it's Jock Sampson's fault that Jimmy Nuts is a nerd, or was a nerd.
What is wrong with being a nerd?
Well, they're the ones that run this country, that's for sure.
Nuts is an avid book reader. He studies physics. He has a lot of high-end interests. Loves reading.
What a nerd.
Got a book on the hind end of his trunks there. It says, "Let's go Nuts," and that's what Jimmy Nuts is doing on Jock Sampson right now. It's like a crazed madman.
Well, Jock Sampson's going to beat him up and then shove him in the locker.
Jimmy Nuts is shoving Jock's hat into Jock's mouth.
Little whiskey will take care of that. You know, you angered him earlier, too. You just anger everybody.
I didn't promise him liquor or women.
Well, apparently he was under the understanding, and I would take his word over yours.
He was drunk when I booked him.
Are you sure?
Well, it's the first time I've seen him sober, so probably. Oh, Jimmy Nuts hits the rail. Jimmy Nuts hits hard, and I agree with the official with the lax rules here. We want to see a definitive winner because this really is the only matchup of the night that you could say is personal. Sampson and Jimmy Nuts with their way of words has really escalated their tensions. Jimmy Nuts, he may be, you mentioned earlier, you asked me about the most inspirational guy on the show. Jimmy Nuts, I think, is a leading candidate. He's lost over 100 pounds in his life. He was the outcast in high school. Yeah, he was the nerd. He was bullied. He was pushed around, beaten up. But the way he has adjusted his lifestyle and the way he has adapted and entered wrestling as a way of self-expression, defiance, rebellion, and career, Jimmy Nuts is really a model individual for how one could live his life and be successful.
I am the greatest wrestler of all time.
Now that's true. That's the greatest thing I've heard all night.
Really.
He is the greatest wrestler of all time in the world.
Not just a little full of himself, huh? The only reason he didn't swear is because he knew he'd get fined earlier. He's barely behaving himself.
Oh, that's a back rake. That is dreaded. I'll call this one back rake.
Couldn't do without you, Ben.
That's why I'm here.
Well, Jimmy Nutt's in trouble now. And Jimmy Nutt's, he's all heart. He's very defiant. But he's outsized by Jock Sampson. And certainly in Jock Sampson's realm, in a fight atmosphere, he's going to have a decisive advantage. As Jock says, quote, I don't know any wrestling moves.
Well, you don't have to if you can fight.
Nutt's trying to escape the wrath of Jock Sampson, but Jock stepping on the hand. Jock does like the hip toss, though.
Well, that's a wrestling move.
He's a liar then. You just called him a liar.
I didn't call him a liar.
Well, make up your mind. Either he doesn't know any wrestling moves or he likes hip toss.
Well, he's modest about his repertoire. He can do a lot of moves. I've seen him come off the top.
Mr. I'm the greatest wrestler that ever lived is modest.
Absolutely.
I see.
Didn't you get that impression when you booked him?
If you're Jimmy Nuts, how do you win this match?
I run home, cry, and hope Jock doesn't know where I live.
That's not a way to win the match. And it's nothing Jimmy Nuts is going to do either.
Well, it's about survival, not necessarily winning the match. By the end of this, if Jock keeps busting those fingers, he's not going to have any left.
Oh, and down to the toes as well. For Jock, it's all about bullying and pushing around somebody smaller than you. It's how Jock's lived his whole life. And you can see that Jock, just looking at him, you can tell he's gotten into maybe one too many bar fights in his day. He likes to scrap. He likes to cause trouble, create conflict. And he's never in a really good mood. Unless he's drinking or, in his own words, cheating on his wife.
Well, what's so bad about that?
You kidding me?
Yeah, nothing wrong with a drink and a woman or two, or maybe three.
You think Jock Sampson could get 3 women in one night?
I absolutely do. Just by looking down and giving them the eye. You know what the eye is? That's where you give them the eye. You look at it. They know. And in Cleveland, he could probably get all the women in the crowd.
So because Jock looks down on everybody, he can pick up women.
No, Lockstep. You just got to tilt your head down. Go out and pick up women.
Oh! Jock's mask drives Jimmy Nuts down in only a count of 2.
Are you trying to say that Jock Sampson couldn't get 3 women at once? At once?
I'm just being a journalist. I'm asking questions. I'd like to meet those women from a distance.
Hey, at the end of the night, everybody's got to go home with somebody.
That's true. Jimmy Nuts fighting from his knees.
See, there's a wrestling move.
Jimmy Nuts doing whatever he can here to press on. Jimmy Nuts will not die. He will not quit. There's no surcease in this young man.
Did you see those moves that Jock had? He's like a redneck Muhammad Ali.
What?
Float like a butterfly, stink like a bee.
They could see the momentum of that whipping into the turnbuckle sends Jimmy Nuts just hurling down to the canvas violently.
Did you see that? You get a wrestling show, live pro wrestling, and tickets to the gun show. And that was free of charge.
Tickets to the gun show.
Yeah, did you see him pose with them guns? See there? Jock just picked up one woman right there. She is smitten.
Yeah, that's why she's burying her head in her hand laughing.
Well, it's because of the loser that she's next to. Can't think of a way to tell him that he's going home alone tonight.
But everybody had to go home with somebody.
Well, he is. See the guy next to him? That's who he's taking home.
I see.
That lady right there, she's going to be in for the night of her life.
Well, I think that young lady and the rest of this crowd would like to see Jimmy Nuts stand up for himself. This guy's no nerd, no loser, no Harry Potter.
I know him.
What? It's a fictitious character from a book. You read books?
There's a book that I have on the back of my bathroom. It's got pictures.
All right, well, that'll help you out there. Abdominal stretch by Jock Sampson. Focusing on the intercostal cartilage between the ribs of Jimmy Nuts. Is Jock using some illegal leverage as well? Yes, he is.
Nope. I can't see it from where I'm sitting.
Because he's reaching behind you. Or behind himself, I should say.
And well, Clemens couldn't see it. He's reaching behind me. I know he's got long arms. My goodness. Clemens didn't see it either, and that's the important.
Well, Clemens is in the proper position because he's looking for a submission on Jimmy Nuts. You can see just the angst, the pain on this young man's face.
Hey, what was that?
Jake Clemens enforcing the law.
And he just stole his move. That's the.
It's not his move.
It is. That is Jock Sampson. He owns it.
And Jock gets the knees up.
Nerd. I'll tell him to his face.
I dare you to. See what happens.
I'm busy up here with you.
I see. Jock with a cover. 2 count only. But again, look at the pain just racked up and down the body of Jimmy Nuts.
You really promised to pay him in women and liquor?
I did not.
That's what he said. You just don't make friends. Nate Matson, Jock Sampson.
Who would want to be friends with those guys?
I would. I'll add him on MySpace.
You can have a MySpace. I'd like to mention this show's happening in 2015 to anybody watching on YouTube.
What?
Never mind. Jimmy Nuts caught Jock Sampson! Jock went for everything. Jimmy Nuts was lying in wait. And now it might be time to go nuts! When this kid gets focused, when he gets fired up, there's very little that can stop him.
And the fans are getting behind him now. They're going banana.
The first slam didn't work, but Jimmy Nuts got the momentum, the courage, the strength he needed, slamming Jock that time, and now unloading. Jock with reversal, but Jimmy Nuts waiting. And Jock again, a cheap shot to the eyes. Jock could sense this match slipping away. Goes back to those shortcuts.
See? Remember how I said earlier about him going up top? Look at this. Aerial assassin.
Aerial assassin.
Reminds me of M-Dog 20.
Jock's lucky he doesn't get nosebleed. Look at Jimmy Nuts. Desperation move, eye for an eye, biting Jock Sampson. Oh, big windup. Jimmy Nuts, hey, there's a little nut cutter for you. And Jimmy Nuts is going to beat Jock Sampson.
Here is your winner, Jimmy Nuts!
Now, is he still getting paid in women and booze? What can happen?
Look at the loser's end of the purse money, and it's not in women and booze. Jimmy Nuts a hard fought when he deserves this, but he doesn't deserve that. Come on. Jock Sampson with that metal cowbell between the eyes.
I guess Nuts should have had eyes in the back of his head on that one.
Completely uncalled for. Jock Sampson's going to pick on Jimmy Nuts, but now it's Jock Sampson behaving like the sore loser.
Well, you know what? Jock Sampson has a fever. You know what the prescription is? More cowbell. That's Jimmy Nuts about it.
And Jock demanding that his music be played. He didn't win this match.
Get Raylan out here to sing it.
No, please. You want her to do Freebird? Really?
I want her. I do.
Jock Sampson sends a message to everybody, especially Jimmy Nuts. You wouldn't know it, but Jimmy Nuts won this matchup. Jimmy Nuts victorious, but Jock Sampson gets the last word.